G'day folks, my name's John. I do product reviews and make travel videos from around Western Australia. These aren't just videos of me on holidays, they include useful information that you, the travelling public, might find helpful if you're travelling or thinking of travelling around the great state of WA. So subscribe and join me as we see where we're off to today. G'day folks, how you going? And welcome to my first video in my new series of exploring Kalbarri / Dongra. I tell you what a flaming 3-4 weeks it's been. As I said in my last video, this series probably wouldn't come out till the beginning of the new year, because I was going to edit all these videos in one go and then put them out afterwards. 2 days before Christmas I got bloody COVID, so I got laid up in bed for almost a week, and then after COVID finished, my voice went out on me. So I thought, oh, should I wait till till all that comes good until to do the voiceovers and all that talking and that sort of thing, you know? And I thought, oh, nah, bugger it, I'll just leave it as it was. And even now it's still not 100%. So just as well I didn't leave it, else I still wouldn't have started editing these things. But anyway, basically what I'm trying to say is, through the course of this series, my voice is going to go from being almost normal down to different shades of gravel. So you just have to put up with that as we go along. Now this video, I went to Kalbarri in the quiet off-peak season, so it was a little bit quiet around town. So you know, there wasn't, some things weren't actually open. Well, I guess the locals need a holiday as well, don't they? But I'm particularly looking at the fish and chip shop, because I was going to get some fish and chips and they were closed, they were on holidays. But that's okay, I'm going to check you out next time I'm in town. This video will look at the actual town site of Kalbarri. And before we get into it, if this is your first time here, consider subscribing down the bottom down there and hitting that thumbs up as well, because all that sort of stuff helps the channel out, helps make it grow, because it makes YouTube show the video to other channels, or to other people. So and it all helps to make the channel grow. We've also got a link down the bottom down there to Amazon, so if you're somebody that buys stuff on Amazon, if you use our link to get you into Amazon, you can go off and go buy whatever you want, and they'll flick a few cents over to the channel, which all helps to try and make more videos as well. And that costs you nothing. It's just, you know, just a little thing that they flick a few cents back this way. Anyway, enough for all that. Let's get into it. Let's have a look and see what Kalbarri's got to offer. Kalbarri is 575 kilometres north of Perth. It's where the second longest river in Western Australia, the Murchison River, meets the ocean. Kalbarri only became a town in 1951, with lead mining to the northeast and fishing being the only interest in the area. While the lead mining has long gone, fishing is still very much part of the town. Kalbarri has a population of around 1,500 people, but during the tourist season that can grow to as much as 3,000. Being on the coast, most of the activity is water related, whether it's swimming, boating or fishing. Although it's low tide, you can see that even at high tide, the beach is still fairly family friendly if you have young kids. You have to go out a fairly long way to get to the deep water. If you're into boating, then this is a place that you need to be pretty experienced to tackle the entrance of the Murchison River. At low tide you can see the reef at the entrance pretty good, but at high tide the reef is hidden.
and you need to know how to time the waves fairly well to get in and out of the river. Get it wrong and you're in a world of trouble. Just to show how much power is in the ocean, that rock over there in the middle of the reef, that was lifted up during a cyclone back in, I think it was the 1990s. Speaking of cyclones, last year in 2021, Cyclone Saroja smashed into the town. Now this is not normally a cyclone risk area, so buildings aren't built to the higher cyclone rated standards, but when they do hit, the damage can be pretty bad. It was reported that 70% of the buildings had some sort of damage, and walking around town you can see that some of that damage is still needing to be repaired. Most of the damage I saw was accommodation areas, but there is still plenty of accommodation around town for the visitors. One place I was going to go was a restaurant I'd been to many times when I was driving tour coaches, so I was disappointed to see that Black Rock had gone. I had many a great meal sitting up there. Doesn't look like I'm going to be eating here again anytime soon. There's still plenty of eating places around town, including the pub and the tavern. There are a number of tours you can do, including the coastal gorges and river gorges, and you can see them from the ground, the water and the air. You can come down in the morning and see the pelican feeding by the river, or even hire a canoe or a dinghy and head upriver to explore on your own. Now I'm just a couple of kilometres south of Kalbarri, and this area has sort of come up twice in history. First one was in 1629, shipwreck of the Batavia. Most West Australians probably know about the Batavia. Just basically it was a Dutch ship that was going from Holland around to Java to collect some spices. I actually talk a little bit about it in one of my first videos I ever did, which is on Fremantle. I'll put a link up here if you want to go and have a look at that, and I'll put a link at the end of this video as well. But that shipwrecked off the coast of Geraldton on the Abrolhos Islands, and with the survivors there was a lot of mutiny and murder and all that sort of thing that happened there. When these rescue party came back, they had a trial and they basically killed off most of the people that were involved with the mutiny and everything. But two blokes who pleaded for their freedom, they were found guilty, but they were less involved. So they ended up dropping them here on this creek here. Now this creek is called, I can't remember what it's called, starts with a W anyway. I'll put the name down the bottom down here. Will something or other. Anyway, it doesn't matter. They brought them over, just over there is where the ocean is. So they dropped them down there and left them to their own devices. Now back in the 1829s there was nobody here, just the Aborigines. So technically they're the first white people to arrive here and live here, because they were left for dead. They figured they probably wouldn't survive. Now there's no real 100% fact, but the rumour is these blokes actually managed to find their way inland about 400 or 500 kilometres. There's a rock out near Kew, and I've been there. I've taken a picture of some artwork, Aboriginal artwork on the rock walls there. And in amongst all the Aboriginal artwork, the usual stuff they have, the snakes and the hands and all that sort of stuff, kangaroos and that, there's a picture of a two-masted sailing ship. I'll show you a picture, I'll drop that in here. Now, in theory, them blokes out there, while the Aborigines move around, the idea that they could possibly move from up out there all the way down here to the coast, just when there's an early sailing ship going past to see the sailing ship, is not impossible, but you know, you never know. The more likely theory is that these two blokes found their way inland, probably came up to a couple of Aborigines who helped them out, because in the early days the Aborigines used to help the white fellas out, show them where the water was and all that sort of thing. Probably took them in that way and looked after them, and they probably painted that painting on the wall. That's the theory. As I said, no evidence to 100% prove it, but that's one of the popular theories of how that picture got on the wall there. Now, the other time this became popular was an explorer named Gray, Lieutenant Gray. In the early days of settlement here, I think it was about 1829, I think it was, he sailed up the coast here and was doing some exploring. I don't know if he was the best of explorers, he didn't have a lot of luck, but he ended up shipwrecking in the end off the coast up here, and they came ashore, well actually not just out here, it was a bit further north of here, but they walked from here about 600 kilometres back to Fremantle, and on the way discovered lots of little lakes and all that sort of thing. So they're the two moments of history for this area that we today call Kalbarri. Now, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but the wind has just picked up to, well, almost cyclonic. Probably not quite that much, but it's been windy here the last couple of days we've been here. It's sort of been up to around 40-45 kilometres an hour. This morning it was pretty quiet, but just now, a few minutes ago, it's just gone from a slight breeze to blowing a gale. So there's no way in the world you could stand out there and do any talking. Look, I'll show you. So this is the thing I'm hiding behind. Good old fuel refueling facilities here in Kalbarri. So now across the river on the other side there, that's part of the Murchison station, which you can go onto with your four-wheel drive and camp over there. You've got access to the whole area. I think it's something like about 144,000 square, what do they call it? Acres, not acres, hectares of property. So you got complete access over there. Not something I've done, but a lot of people have. But now Kalbarri, as you've seen, it's pretty quiet at the moment because it's off season. So when it's on season, it's pretty busy and pretty full on around here. Plenty to do. So a good place to come to. Now I've got to stand up because my leg's about to cramp.
So when's the best time to come to Kalbarri? Well, if you want to do things like the coastal walks or the walks in the gorge, in the river gorges, winter time's the best time to do that. So we're talking sort of like May, June, July, August sort of thing. It's cooler. It's generally around about sort of like maybe the mid-20s, 30, 31 sort of thing. And that's great weather for walking down into the gorges, because inside the gorges in the middle of summer it can get really, really hot. And in fact they'll actually close some of the walks off because of the heat. Sort of October, November through to January, February kind of thing is the summer months. Not a good time to be doing those gorge walks. If you're in a boating or something on the water, because it's hot, it's not a bad time to go into the water, but also at that time of the year it does get rather windy up here, as you can see in the video I did on the Kalbarri town, and you'll see that in the other videos that are coming up as well. And that wind can blow out any kind of water activities as well, so depends on what you want to do and what you're prepared to put up with. So that's the Kalbarri town site. The next video we're going to put up will be either the coastal gorges around Kalbarri, or we'll do the river gorges. I'm not sure which one. We'll all get surprised together. So that'll be the next one that will come. I think there's going to be about 7 videos in this series, so it's not going to be a big series, but it'll be interesting if you're wanting to come up this way. So if you haven't already, as I said before, subscribe down the bottom there to make sure you don't miss nothing, and hit that thumbs up as well. Anyway, till next time, happy travels.